present the launch, we are honoured to welcome Dawn Butler MP and Alima Qureshi, Head of Communities and Young People at the Mayor of London's Violence Reduction Unit. So give them a warm welcome.
Actually, I'll let you go first.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here today and to hear this young man speak as well. Very, very powerful. Thank you for that. And you just reminded me, sometimes I don't know what I'm going to say when I come to events. It depends on how I feel in the room. And so first of all, I want to just reassure everybody that we all have mental health. And sometimes it's here in the middle, sometimes it's like this, sometimes it's like that. So we should never be ashamed of how we're feeling in that moment. We should be comfortable enough to talk about it. All of this stuff around man up, take it on the chin, that's not what we need. We know better now. We've progressed in our thinking. And you also mentioned the police. And yesterday, I was in a meeting with some MPs, and I was talking about the disproportionality of black people, especially black men, when they are stopped and searched or stopped in their cars. And can you believe a MP was disagreeing with me? And it made me so mad. I could not believe that this MP was disagreeing with me. And I thought, how far? We thought we've come this far, that everybody's in agreement, they know the stats speaks for themselves. Then, to further compound that, and I can see I'm being recorded and I don't care, I'm going to expose him, he used to be a police officer. So that makes me think, how did he treat black people as a police officer? So I'm sure more about that will come out later. And I want to say, because he's not going to get away with it, obviously, I won't allow it. But I was in a meeting with some police officers once, and I tend to wear bright colours, and there's lots of reasons behind that. One of the reasons was somebody told me that nobody would ever take me seriously if I wear bright colours. And what I realise is that when I go into a room, I'm going to stand out anyway. So do you know what? I'm going to stand out. So why not? So there's no point in trying to squeeze yourself into a box that wasn't made for you, because that also affects your mental health. So I was in this meeting with some police officers, and somebody said, well, I like your coat. Your bright colour coat was orange. And I said to them, just imagine if every time I left my house in my orange coat, I got stopped by the police. What do you think that would do to me and my mental health? I said, what I would want to do, obviously, you would imagine, is take off my orange coat and park it at home because I don't want to be stopped by the police. So I said, as a black person, you don't have that option. You don't have that option. We are black 24 hours a day. So what we need is for the police to understand their biases. We need the police to understand that blackness doesn't equate to criminality. And in fact, what I say to the young people in my constituency is that actually, because you're so special, because you're so talented, that is why coming after you. So we have to find a way to fix the police. We have to find a way to ensure that the mental health of especially young black men are not damaged, forever damaged, by the attacks from the police, but also find a way to ensure that young black men understand how special they are, and when they see another black man, to understand that that's another special person, so that we can build and grow together. So, Manju, this is an amazing conference that you've put together. I've only been here for part of the discussion, but that was a phenomenal part of the discussion. And I want to thank everybody in the room for all the work that you do, because we can't do this alone. We need allies. Everybody needs an ally. You can't expect black people to just fight for our rights of black people and be successful. We need white people in that mix as well, white and brown people. You can't expect gay people to just fight for the rights of gay people. We need straight people as well. You can't expect women to just fight for the rights of women. We need men as well. So everybody needs an ally. And actually, if we take that allyship seriously, if we all fight for each other, if we all uphold each other's rights, God, the world would be a much better place. And we will get to that point of fairness quickly. So thank you all very much for having me today. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you all. Thank you.
Well, that's amazing, thank you. And actually, so I'm Alima, Head of Community and Young People at the London Violence Reduction Unit. I think most of you will probably know what that is, but it was set up in 2019 by the London Mayor, and our aim is early intervention prevention to reduce violence, particularly for those young people affected by violence. So our focus is very much on young people, and our motto is violence is preventable, it's not inevitable. And I think we've heard a lot of that sort of come through today. And like you, actually, I had a kind of a speech because we're launching this, Dawn, which is the report, and we'll come on to that. But actually, I've just been kind of really moved by some of the conversations that have been going on here. And I want to share how, I want to tell you all about the VAU, but I probably haven't got enough time to do that. But I'll tell it to you through my story and how I got into the VAU. Just before the role came out, and it came out at the right time for me, friends that I went to college with, that actually is actually a while ago, but their son, who had been got into trouble, in and out of trouble, through primary, through secondary school, they took him out of London because they were like, if we take him away from the problem, maybe that would solve the problem. One day, he got on a train from Birmingham, where his parents had moved him to, with a knife hidden in his jacket. He came to London, he found the boy that he wanted to stab, and he stabbed him to death. And I'm still shaking when I talk about it. But what I want to say to you is, sometimes when we talk about young people affected by violence and families affected by violence, we talk often about we are related to the person that is killed or injured, but we are also families with those that are the ones that end up in trouble because they've used knives or they've stabbed someone, or they're the ones who committed that crime. They're our family too, and I wanted to know how I could help. I couldn't look at my friends in the face anymore, I didn't know what to say to them, but I wanted to know how could I help. And if I were talking to him, this young boy, what would he say to me were the reachable, teachable moments where we could have intervened, we could have done something. And I know he would have said that actually, he came from a broken family, like my friends. So I know both the parents, because I went to college with them. But for my friend, this was her second marriage. She was divorced from her first marriage. So for this boy, he's estranged from his biological father. Actually, he didn't have trusted adults and mentors through the school when he needed that kind of help. And so the VAU, we do amazing work, and a lot of that aligns. And if you haven't read this report, you've got to, it kind of aligns so much with VAU's work, which is why we're happy to support Manju's work on this. And actually, when you first launched it in Croydon, the VAU Mayans team were there, and we have some Mayans team here today as well, Poison and others from the Tower Hamlets Mayans team. It's great to see this work being extended out. Mental health is a massive impact for young people who are affected by violence. And actually, this is a picture just behind you, Dawn. I have been staring at that, looking at that all day today. The childhood adverse effects of trauma for children, and how that can manifest in how our behaviour changes as well. So in the VRU, we do a lot of work around trauma-informed and how we support professionals to understand that, and we're driving quite a lot of that work. We're working with mentors and putting mentors in school. Our inclusion charter work is about making sure that all schools are inclusive, and actually we believe children are safer in schools, so that they're not excluded, they're not suspended, and we're putting rights respecting at the heart of those schools and helping them to really thrive. We've had about 400,000 positive opportunities, and those diversionary positive opportunities are so important. We've heard today from you about safe spaces and having opportunities for young people to go to, and actually creating those are going to be phenomenal in the work that we do, particularly to improve things like mental health for young people. there is a whole amount of focus from the London Mayor around mental health in young people. So he's recently launched his mental health programs tailored to young people in schools, and they were piloting something. And it's not necessarily about this young man very articulately talking about, putting that support, that psychological support into schools, and very early on, which isn't always best placed by professionals, but actually mentors perhaps, and those that kind of really understand where you're coming from. So the mayor is really invested in doing that. The other thing in the report that you talk about is the policy, and actually the recommendations that you've written in the report. We really need people like Dawn and others to speak on our behalf around how we get more support into services that work with young people. And so that voice, that advocacy, that policy work that is in your report is also really amazing to see. Of course, the heart of it all is early intervention and prevention. And we're all, it sounded like in today's work, so invested in thinking really early about that reachable, teachable moment. And actually, how and when we do that work is so important. We also heard in my group today about transition. It's really difficult for us to get transition right. And if we get it right, from primary to secondary, from secondary into young adulthood, it can really set a young person up. And I think I can probably go on, but what I want to do is emphasise the importance of the work that you've done, Manju and the group here. And I think you said there was a young person who was involved in writing this, right? 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Come on. Who do you want in the picture, Manju?
I think you guys are amazing, and thank you so much for doing the report. We really much welcome it. Thank you.
They should come forward as well.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Hey. Should we go in the front here? Who's got the camera?
Alima, do you want to? Come.
In front. Oh, picture.
Yeah.
Oh. The right way.
Yeah.
Is it upside down?
No,
No.
I think that's okay. Really?
Really
Yeah, well done.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Well done.